So it is very interesting to see abuse dynamic and patterns on the world stage, like we are currently seeing. Um, and as we are going into this slide of fascism, and we've got an axis of autocracy sort of developing, it's really interesting to look and see everyone's response to, like, let's say Donald Trump, who is going down Umberto Eco's, what is it, 14 points of fascism. He's doing it very quickly. And yet, so people who are paying attention are like sounding the warning sign. But everybody else just seems to be like, well, that's weird. Like, he's just saying stuff and he doesn't mean what he says. And so there's a small contingent of people that are just absolutely beyond alarmed. I am one of them. And then there's everybody else who doesn't seem to understand the danger. The reason why they don't understand the danger is because they are in a cognitive bias called normalcy bias. So, normalcy bias, hold on, let me pull up my little. Normalcy bias is a cognitive bias which leads people to disbelieve or minimize threat warnings. Consequently, individuals underestimate the likelihood of a disaster when it might affect them and its potential adverse effects. Amanda Ripley identifies common response patterns of people in disasters and explains that there are three phases of response: denial, deliberation, and the decisive moment. Now, this isn't just for world events. This explains what is happening to so many victims of abuse in an abuse dynamic. Not in a situation where this person wasn't immediately controlling, like from the beginning, and they essentially trapped you. Like, we're talking more the model where you are engaging in a relationship with somebody over time and it slowly escalates. It's that frog in the pot of boiling water. And the reason why the victim doesn't recognize it for what it is because they're engaging in normalcy bias. So they're looking at the past to make predictions about the future. Unfortunately, what many victims do is when they meet someone and they're very excited about them, they fill in the blanks of who they think this person is. Or this person is saying things like, I'm the kind of person who blank. And so they're telling you what they want you to believe about them, even though their actions show you who they actually are. You should not take that for face value. You should file that away as, this is what they want me to believe about who they are. And when you're dealing with like a boaster or a braggart or somebody like that, like, they're very, very into, oh, I'm the kind of person who this, and I'm the kind of person who's that. And it's usually not true. It's what they want to believe about themselves, or they want other people to believe about themselves, but that is not necessarily correct. So when you are getting this information in the beginning and you're building your idea of like who this person is, you don't want to fill in details, and you definitely don't want to take them for face value when they say, this is who I am. What we want to be doing is paying attention to their actions over time. But anyway, so a victim creates this like incorrect model of who they believe this person to be, and they do it during the love bombing early stages, or they'll do it during the honeymoon stages. And so their idea of who the abuser is like very, very positive, unnecessarily so. And it's not actually based on the abuser's actions over time. As the abuser starts to show their true colors, the mask starts slipping, and they start to engage in controlling behaviors, or like the critical remarks start happening, or they start to downplay you as a person. And so the reason why a victim of abuse doesn't clock this for the ramping up stage for an abuse dynamic is because they're engaging in normalcy bias. They're looking back at how the relationship started, and they think that's how it's always going to be. So they're essentially in that denial phase that the Amanda Ripley resource was talking about. They're not updating their like, we update our software in our computers. We have to update software in our phones, but we don't update our model of who a person is based off information that they are showing us as we move into the relationship. And so when we're in this normalcy bias and stuff just continues to get more and more off track, A lot of victims, they go to relationship resources and they try to engage with the abuser in a relationship resource context, which creates more of a trap because all you're doing is giving an abuser more leverage over you, more control over you. Because like relationship resources are very much, oh, I take responsibility for my side of the street, you take responsibility for your side of the street, and then we work out like a compromise or we apologize to each other. But if you do that with an abuser, they will just use that against you, right? You cannot engage in healthy relationship strategies and tools with an unhealthy abusive person. It will just make the box you're in smaller and smaller. So when we are looking around at our political situation and we're like, how do people not see this? That is exactly how people who are outside the abuse dynamic feel about the victim of abuse thinking about the abuser. It's like watching a slow horror movie happen in front of your eyes. And so, people are like, no, this guy's abusive, or this woman's abusive, or they're abusive. And the victim's like, but they love me, right? Like, I I know they're a good person because I have this idea of who they are based off who they were when we started dating. And then it doesn't shift into the actual controlling actions until they have the ability to start to control you. And so, because this happens in relationships, you kind of have to give that control over time. I mean, if they tricked you to like go into Dubai or something and then took your passport, that is not what I'm talking about. But I'm talking about a relationship model, where someone over time makes you feel bad about yourself, makes you feel guilty. You're in the fog, fear, obligation, and guilt, and they use that to manipulate you into doing what they think you should do. So anyway, I hope this makes sense, and I'll talk to you next time.